I'm going to tell you a story called the creation story. And God stepped out on space and looked around and said, I will make me a world. I am lonely. And as far as the eyes of God could see, darkness covered everything, blacker than a 1,000 midnights down in the cypress swamp. Then God smiled, and the darkness broke and rolled to one side, and the light stood shining on the other side. Then God said, this is good. And again, God reached out to the light with his hands and took it and rolled it around in the middle of his arms and in the middle of his hands, and rolled it again and again and again and again until he had formed the sun. And the moon on his left side, and the stars were clustered around his head, and the earth was under his feet. And God began to walk, and where he trod, his footsteps hollowed out the valleys and bulged out the mountains. And God stopped and looked and saw that the earth was hot and barren. Then he stepped over to the side of the world and spattered the 7 seas. Again, God battered his eyes, and the lightnings flashed and clapped his hands, and the thunder rolled, and the cooling waters from the heavens came down. The cooling waters came down. The green grass sprouted, and the red flowers blossomed, and the pine trees pointed their fingers against and up to the sky, and the oak spread its arm. Then the rivers, the lakes cuddled itself around the hollows, down the hollows of the ground, and flowed into the rivers. Then God raised his hand over the seas and the land and waved it and said, bring forth. And quicker than God could put down his hands, the birds and the fishes and the bees and the fowls swam the rivers and the sea, roamed the wood and the trees, and split the earth with their wings. And God said again, this is good. Then God looked around, looked at all that he had made. He looked at his sun, he looked at his moon, he looked at his little stars, he looked at the world and all the living things he had made. And he said, I am lonely still. Then God sat by, I told you you won't find it in the Bible. Then God sat by a hill, sat on the side of a hill where he could think, by a deep, wide river. Then he said to himself, I will make me a man. I will make me a man. Then up from the bed of the river, he scooped the clay. And the great God who lifted the sun and fixed it on the sky, who flung the stars in the four corners of the earth, this great God knelt down on the bank of the river on the dust like a mommy toiling over her baby. He toiled over the lump of clay this lump of clay. He toiled over it. He toiled until he had formed it in his own image. Then he looked at it and breathed the breath of life into it. Then man became a living soul. Amen.